Good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is VlogsBoutNothin. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to join me. I really appreciate that. Tonight, we're talking about things I've never done. If you're new to the channel, understand that this is an IRL streamer who does 4 videos a day, the very least. I talk about my daily life. I talk about all of my opinions. I talk about things that probably will never matter to you. But seeing as though that's kind of what performance art is, and kind of given the opportunity to have the benefit of the doubt, I really appreciate you being here with me because that's exactly what you're doing, and my only goal in life is to not let you down. Honestly, this is a relationship between you behind your screen and me. That's what it is. That's kind of a great connection that I hope to have established already. I know with a handful of people who, again, I'm just never going to get over being able to articulate how grateful I am. We're now going to be 600 videos into the channel. So if you can imagine 600 videos of just some dude kind of trying to generate some stuff while he goes along and occasionally has that like lisp or stutter or whatever, then here's where you need to be. This is a safe place. I have the comments turned off so that all you got to do is worry about what you're watching. Take all of your opinions that you got in your mind and use them as your fuel to engage in what otherwise may or may not be a meaningful conversation with somebody that you may or may not know. Anyways, tonight I do want to talk about things I've never done. So, for example, I feel like big things as a 36-year-old person, like just between us, that I've never done, I want to get into that because I feel like makes me into the person that I am. And I don't think I'm anything more than just a dude trying to get by. But nonetheless, sometimes I find great solace in that, right? Because I see other people either behaving like straight monsters or bullies or just what otherwise they wouldn't be behaving if like they knew better, or should I dare even say that they know better, they just choose not to. Anyways, so I've never purchased anything from Chipotle. There's a Chipotle right down the street, and I am a huge fan of fresh food. I know that fresh food is the way to go. I like an open kitchen myself, sort of like your PF Chang's on the nicer level, and then your Panda Express, right, on that mid entry. Although Panda Express is very expensive too. All casual fast food is expensive. Like the only straight up cheap fast food there is still just straight up cheap fast food. But I've never been to Chipotle to buy anything for myself. Recently, last year, I had a DoorDash order canceled midway and I was taking a Chipotle order. So at the time, I ended up trying somebody else's Chipotle burrito for free, right? Only because, again, it happens, but it's rare. Sometimes people cancel their orders. If, like, Chipotle is notorious for having long wait times on DoorDash. So if you're a DoorDash driver and sometimes you're waiting at Chipotle for like 30 minutes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get the food, you're on a double order, and all of a sudden somebody cancels it, right? And then like you're left with this really cold Chipotle. So I've eaten really cold Chipotle, right? But I've never ordered from their menu. I've never bought anything. So I feel like at some point in my life I'm going to eat some Chipotle. Um, I know that I have never been, again, a huge fan of jumping on bandwagons when they first start, only because I have done that with other things and it hasn't always worked out. I mean, most recently, I guess I'd say I behaved that way with the Popeyes chicken sandwich, which I guess I don't have any regrets as of right now. Maybe in like 30 years I will. We'll find out something crazy about Popeyes chicken sandwiches in the 2020s. Holy potatoes. Can we all not wait for that documentary? Regardless, I'm just saying that some other things that I've never done, or that I don't do. So I've never done Snapchat. You feel me? Like, Snapchat, I was already in tune with my age, like, as I was growing up. So there was a point in my 20s when Snapchat dropped, and I decided that wasn't made for me. Snapchat is, in fact, made for, well, it was made for younger people, and then I feel like it turned into a really sketch app where really sketch people do really sketch things, because they assume that their messages will never be seen or read or whatever. that's just like weird, you know, like WhatsApp and Snapchat, like those, like I've never been on WhatsApp or Snapchat, but I know that like half the world's online schemes go through these places. So like why would I, you know? So there's no incentive for me to be on websites like Snapchat, you know, again, just because like I'm convinced the last woman I was with was like secretly an adult film star and had Snapchat ads engaged on her phone unbeknownst to me, and then had one major cash out at the end of the year we were growing like this is some real stuff, not to mention that this lady is extremely old, and I feel like old people are the easiest people to exploit, like with online scams, in that, you know, you get somebody over the age of 60 to sign up for some platform that they know nothing about, and they have no trained etiquette within as it concerns the subject matter, and all of a sudden they're getting spammed with ads, and they feel like, you know, they're something like really special because they're about to click on some clickbait that's going to give their computer or phone some malicious virus that then will steal all their data. Like, you know, it's a big deal. And I feel like old people should know better, but they don't. And I feel like they don't know better because either one, they don't care, two, they've never been told, or three, they just assume that everybody on the internet is not like everybody is in real life. Like, meaning that on the internet people are nice and in real life people are not, when in fact on the internet people are most often not nice, and in real life most people are often not nice. So I don't really understand that correlation, but nonetheless, I'm not a 36-year-old on Snapchat, you feel me? I'm just not doing it. Like, you know, I have one social media account, and it's here on YouTube, that's it, and Patreon. So I've made it a point, it's too much, and at some point other creators and other people will see that too. You don't see Gen Z and Alpha run into the Twitter page or the Twitter feeds to, you know, discuss the latest topic on domestic policy, you know, just a bunch of old cringe boomers and Xers blasting out their worst thoughts about the world, right? And like, it's weird because Twitter did used to be a good kind of concept in that the sharing of information, the just general vibe of it, you know, but leave it to an Xer to sort of mess everything up. I mean, and I feel like Elon Musk does himself a lot of disservice in that, you know, out of all the things you could buy for 30 plus billion, you feel me? I mean, you could have bought Disney. I mean, it's tough. I can imagine being in that situation, right? Like spending all that money on something that is like way worse than you ever could have imagined it being. You know, think people like Jack Dorsey and stuff for making Twitter look so appealing when they were arguably the first beta prototype testers of, you know, faking engagement and making fake accounts and robot engagement and all these other things. Again, Twitter or X or whatever is a cesspool for old people. Nobody under the age of 40 is on Twitter. I know this to be true because nobody cares. Only old people try to make us think that it's important, right? And then now, like, we watch the news and on different products it'll have the X logo and stuff. It's like, who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody really is on Twitter. But I'm sure that this random person right here isn't the only one that knows that. Twitter is seriously filled with just a bunch of bots, just a bunch of fake engagement, a bunch of really just pushing scams, you know? It's like turned into Craigslist, although inevitably places like Craigslist are still viable in the modern world because they do provide certain kinds of services that do range from all over the board as it concerns the people that buy or the people that view these web pages and stuff. And so even at that, Craigslist only works because, well, I can imagine not very many people work for Craigslist. It's a pretty easy operation to run, as it concerns, you know, being around for so long and now understanding that. I mean, who I've seen Craigslist Joe, you feel me? Craigslist Joe, who has not seen that? I mean, I guess if you're not in your mid 30s, you probably haven't, but nonetheless, it's a interesting movie. I don't do Instagram, right? So IG, you know, Insta, I don't do it. I never have. Um, I think the extent to my seeking out attention peaked when I was a teenager on MySpace. Subsequently returned then for a period of time when I was going into college. Um, and then, although I'd argue that college isn't the social media experience we all passively think it to be. College is a real hands-on experience, and there were very few times in my college experience where I took the time out of my really cool experience to take a picture and post it. You feel me? Like the general rule back for my millennials, from my peer group, was to have fun, you know, don't kiss and tell, and move on with your life. You feel me? Have a good time, be a good person, but you don't really need a running record of your entire life as it concerns your sociability or whatever. I mean, Facebook would go on to do that just a few years later with the newer generations. And again, I'm not an advocate for that. You know, Facebook is a pretty worthless website. I mean, it does nothing. You do nothing on Facebook. And as much as this platform, as much as my channel advocates for doing nothing, there is also, not being stupid. And while I advocate for doing nothing, I also assume that I am telling people not to be stupid. So, I think being on Facebook is a stupid thing. I mean, as a service provider, I ask people out there what exactly Facebook does for you. It causes you drama, it causes you stress, it reconnects you if you're a creep with an ex from years back. Isn't that the worst? With all you old people out there, like that was the worst thing about dating that old grandma, was that, like, it's one thing when you're a certain age or whatever, but then, like, when you have an extra 20, 25 years of baggage on somebody, and then all of a sudden they're on social media and, like, their high school sweetheart, from 1985 is come back into their life, and it's sort of like, what is this? Like, what is this? This is like a free dating website for all old creeps who didn't really have the opportunity to make a stand and get what they wanted, or even request or ask what they wanted from a person in life. And now, after the dust is settled, and after people have had many divorces and many children and, all of these crazy things, they're sort of like, hey, babe, what's up? You remember me from 1985? It's sort of like, dude, that's really creepy. Like, that's really creepy. I would never, I can't imagine. There's one girl on this planet that, like, I can think of myself doing that with, like, just, like, hitting her up, like, years later, being like, hey, what's up? Sorry I happened to memorize your number because I was so into you 10 years ago, but I'm just checking up on you. How's the weather? That's kind of weird, I mean, again, it's one thing maybe if you have, like, a connection with that person, arguably probably most in cases, like, children and stuff, kind of requires a little bit of communication at some point, in the life of the child. But there's some things that I don't do, and I'm not ever going to do them. And I feel like at some point in this century, companies just decided to, like, experiment like all crazy with all of the money that they stole from people. They were just like, we can't really do anything else with this money, so let's just make a bunch of social media websites. Let's get the CIA in on this, guys. Let's, like, make all of this so muddied that by the time people find out what we did, it'll be far too late. Ugh. That is typically how some of these evil mongering monsters of companies will work. I hope that you guys have a really good night. Thank you for watching my channel. Bye.